It is a great honor and privilege for Airtel Networks Zambia Plc to today be partnering with the Zambia Jesuit COVID Response Task Force to present various items to 135 families that have been affected by the COVID pandemic. The COVID pandemic that has affected many Zambian communities differently, and as a company, we deeply sympathize with many of these families. From our own research, we know that many people, especially the breadwinners, have lost their jobs in this very trying period since the pandemic started. We know of many workers whose employers opted not to take them back for fear of COVID, while others who worked in the industrial area and the hospitality industry also lost their jobs because many companies have either had to cut down on the staff numbers due to the pandemic and in some instances close down. As we come to the end of what has been a challenging year for all of us, it is an honor to be partnering with the Jesuits today as we make a humble donation worth 52,000 kwacha, which has gone towards the buying of various goods to cater for 135 families. Some of these things being given today include, among others, 25 kg bags of mealie meal, sugar, cooking oil, washing powder, and soya chunks. As per our company values to be alive, inclusive, and respectful, we would like to state today that we are alive to the problems that many families have faced during the pandemic period. And in being inclusive and respectful of the communities we serve, we hope that this humble donation will assist the 135 families to enter the new year of 2021 with hope and belief that it will be indeed a better year. I thank you all, and God bless you all.
It's very gratifying for me to welcome here today to witness this noble gesture by Airtel Networks Zambia Limited towards the Society of Jesus emergency appeal for Zambia in the fight against COVID-19. The obvious negative impact that the resultant effect of the pandemic was anticipated to have on the most vulnerable of our communities is what enthused the Jesuits to launch the emergency appeal for Zambia, whose objective is to prioritize the most urgent and life-saving interventions necessary to reduce the impact of COVID-19. This appeal has two phases. The first phase of our interventions covered a 6-month period from May to October this year, while the second phase is the current one, in which we had envisioned will be a recovery one, whose objective will be to assist targeted fragile communities to build back better. We've provided over 23,000 hot meals 3 times a week to frontliners and patients based at the University Teaching Hospital, the Levi Mwanawasa Hospital, and the Courtyard Hotel, with 3 hot meals 3 times a week until last month. We've supplied and delivered food to various townships, including Ngombe, Matero, and Chilenje, and others. We've provided counseling services to several frontline workers through calling sessions. All these efforts were enabled with the support of our generous partners and donors, locally and internationally. When we launched our appeal, our target was to raise approximately 6.6 million for the emergency phase and 14.2 million kwacha for the second phase, which will be a recovery phase, whose objective will be to assist targeted fragile communities to rebuild their lives. As at now, we've managed to raise over 2 million kwacha for the emergency phase, with 500,000 going towards the emergency response in food hampers. We started with immediate relief, and now we are on the building back phase. However, as we do so, we are mindful of the need to ensure that no one is left behind, especially the poor. We therefore urge that social justice be mainstreamed in all our efforts to build back. We must ensure that the weaker sections of our population that have been worst hit by the crisis are paid special attention to, including girls and women, children and persons with disabilities, and others who are similarly in a difficult predicament. Furthermore, this means that in building back better and as we take immediate actions to respond to the pandemic, keeping in mind its long-term effects, one of which has just been highlighted, the loss of jobs, it is essential to work for a global and regenerative healing. Our responses should not be limited solely to the organization and operation level without a serious re-examination of the causes of the current difficulties that can dispose us towards a real conversion. Thus, we need to have those societal and planetary transformations that we so urgently need. The various interventions of the Zambia-Malawi Jesuits as a qualified and rapid response to the pandemic are inspired by this logic. So it's not just responding to the effects, but we're also looking at the causal factors that have brought us here. According to the Ministry of Health records shared during yesterday's Tuesday, December 29, 2020's update, Zambia has recorded a cumulative number of 20,177 COVID-19 positive cases, with 18,380 recorded recoveries, while 1,412 cases were recorded as active. Sadly, we've lost lives as a result of this pandemic, and according to yesterday's records, 130 people were recorded to have died from COVID-19, while 255 COVID-19 associated deaths have so far been recorded. When you look elsewhere around the world, it doesn't look like a bad situation, but nonetheless, every single life lost is a tragedy as far as we are concerned. As you can see from the records I've just shared, the last 10 months since the Society of Jesus made the appeal to the response to the pandemic have definitely been challenging, and we have in the process learned a lot. COVID-19 has taught us to care for one another as we face this common problem which knows no boundaries. We're clearly gratified that Airtel shares this value with us of caring for those who are most hit by this pandemic. We have in the process rediscovered the need for resilience and inner strength. That for us mainly comes from our faith, which urges us to always pay particular attention to those who are poor and vulnerable. We have also rediscovered the value of collaboration, and the presence of Airtel Zambia Limited is testament to that. As a church, we have come to recognize that we cannot single-handedly face the challenges being faced by various communities as a result of this pandemic, particularly in this era where networking and collaborations are being appreciated as a way to expedite the process. Keep looking up the skies just to make sure that the rains don't interrupt our proceedings. We therefore reached out to both the public and private sectors for help in our quest to assist those most affected by the pandemic, and this generous response by Airtel Networks Zambia Limited to our appeal further testifies to the importance of collaboration and networking. Airtel Networks Zambia Limited is here to donate through the Society of Jesus initiative foodstuffs and other requirements for 135 families affected by the pandemic. Each of these families, as we've heard already, will receive a bag of 25 kilogram mealie meal, 2 kilograms of sugar, 2 liters of cooking oil, 400 grams of soya chunks, 2 kilograms of salt, 175 grams of bath soap, and 1 kilogram of washing detergent. This initiative to look out for the vulnerable in the support against COVID-19 of the Jesuits is actually in line with one of our universal apostolic preferences, which are a guiding framework for Jesuits' apostolic engagement between now and 2029. In particular, we are guided by the second universal apostolic preferences, which reminds us that we are sent as companions in a mission of reconciliation and justice, We resolve to work with individuals and communities that are vulnerable, excluded, marginalized, and humanly impoverished. In conclusion, we acknowledge that COVID-19 is not a Zambian problem, it's a global problem with global proportions. We are grateful and delighted that some of the largest economies in the world have developed a vaccine that we hope soon will reach our country. However, in this time of urgency, we urge that these vaccines reach all, including the most vulnerable and poor, may not be able to afford the cost of the vaccines. In this regard, patent laws may conflict with the equal provision of these medicines worldwide, but as a matter of social justice, we urge and appeal that such laws and regulations do not impede the widespread distribution of the vaccines. In conclusion, let me repeat our deep and profound gratitude to Airtel for reaching out to the vulnerable members of our communities and for partnering with the Jesuits in this noble goal of always ensuring that no one is left behind in a crisis like ours, at a time like ours, in order to alleviate their sufferings and ensure that they respond in a resilient manner to this crisis.
When the world shuts the sun in darkness, when all dreams are swallowed deep beneath the sea, when no one is so caring to dare cross the ocean that corners the poor and the broken. Rise, my light, my Jesus, set me soaring, flying. Let me trust your promises. Let me do your will. Jesus, fire in my heart aflame in love for the world, feels no limits, sees no boundaries, only God, my hope, feels no limits, sees no boundaries, only God, my hope. Even if I gain the whole world, it's nothing to me if it takes me not to you. May no tides pull me under, no dark walls engulf me in lifting my gaze to your star. There in the eyes of the hungry, I see you looking back to me, and your love fills up my soul. Now my soul sets sail.